Senator Hall, that was a perfect segue into the question that I wanted to ask you. You are a very strong, conservative, moral senator. You are rated #1, I believe, by Rice University. And the Republican Party was founded based on moral issues. The issue of slavery, and something else that people don't know so much is that they were against polygamy, which is for a long time why the Mormons did not like the Republican Party. But too often today we hear people say, well, that's a moral issue. You can't legislate morality, and yet our very party was formed on moral issues. So I just wanted to ask from you, Senator Hall, how do we get to the place where moral issues are like almost anathema to the party?
That was one of the founding fathers said that our form of government, a constitutional republic, only works with a moral people. And he's absolutely right, because without a moral people, you can't pass enough laws or hire enough policemen to make it, to have it work. You cannot have liberty, you cannot have freedom without people with moral values in it. And so we've drifted away from God. There is no doubt in my mind that our founding fathers were guided by God's hand. The American exceptionalism is real. You think about this, a group of 44 men, average age 44. You know, the old guys, 44. Some of them were in their 20s. Some weren't even 20. That came together, reached back over 5,000 years of history, looking at various republics, picked the best parts of them, combined them with biblical principles of governing and righteousness, and created the first contract between the people and the body to oversee their operations, call it the government. It was formed from bottom up, never happened in the world before, and it was based on biblical principles. You can go through there and go back and find all kinds of references of what we have in there coming right straight out of the Bible. And when it was formed, we had the Black Robe Regiment. We had pastors that led their community. The pastors and rabbis in the community, they were the leaders. And look at us today. Our clergy, priests, rabbis have all failed us because they want to keep politics and religion separate. And I tell you, you cannot separate the two, because if you do, you have an immoral people and it ain't going to work. And so they refuse to preach the principles, and that has got us to where we are. We've drifted away from God.
Thank you, Senator Hall. What you've said is that we have drifted away from what we once were. You kind of wonder if our founders would even recognize us at this point in time, don't you?
Absolutely. I mean, it was, when we first started, they used to hold church services in the Capitol. Government places were used to hold church services on a regular basis. We had presidents that attended church services in the Capitol. In fact, any religion that wanted to use it could use it, and they just rotated times through it. We had people. It was founded on biblical principles. The Mayflower Compact, when they came over, before they set one foot on American soil, they wrote a compact with God on what they were doing coming to America for religious freedom. Our country, that's how our country was founded, and it built from there. And you look at it today, and that's what got me involved in politics, is that I realized that after reading the book, The Greatest Generation, which was my father, my mother, my aunts, uncles, and grandfather, the folks that lived through the Depression, took on the two mightiest armies in the world, and we didn't conquer either one of them. We exported liberty to both the countries, Germany and Japan. We went back and built them after we stomped them into the ground. And at that time, we had God in our schools, God in our government, God in our courts, God in our homes, God everywhere. And look at us today. That was my generation that took over from the Greatest Generation. And they handed to me, and the first thing my generation did was we took prayer out of our schools, took God out of our schools. Teen pregnancy went up, drug use went up, divorce rate went up, violence went up, and the communists went to work on separating the family out of it. And look at it today. And so I discovered one day, realized that my generation is going to be remembered as the first generation of Americans to leave a country in worse condition than they inherited. So God put me on a guilt trip, and I ran for office.
Well, we are glad you did, and thank you for representing us.